How's it going to all my lads and lassies of all ages on both YouTube and Instagram? Welcome to Sterling on Cinemas. That's Cinemas with an S, a Scottish S. And today I'll be giving you my review on Brave as part of the Pixar series for every Tuesday going forward. Before I begin, if you are new to this video or to this YouTube channel, you already know the drill. Like, share, keep on liking, keep on subscribing if you're new. And keep on sharing so that those numbers can go up, up, and up. And the same thing if you're on Instagram. But if you like to share, it won't. If you would like to share, it won't really do much for the channel on this end. But if you would like to share because you just want people to see me and see the video because you just like it, that would help as well. Let's get to it. So, Brave tells the story of Scottish Princess Merida, who is the impetuous but courageous daughter of Scottish King Fergus and Queen Elinor. She's a skilled archer who wants to carve out her own path in life. Her defiance of an old age tradition angers the Highland lords, and leads to chaos in the kingdom. Merida seeks help from an eccentric witch who grants her an ill-fated wish. Now Merida must discover the true meaning of courage and undo a beastly curse before it's too late. The most metaphorical Pixar film thus far, Brave brings just the right amount of tools to the dinner table. It is a story about following your purpose that will eventually lead to your fate. Fate is the central theme of the story because fate tends to show us where we go when we are taking a certain path in life, good or bad. In the movie, we see Merida being forced to follow the average royal traditions of being a princess rather than a warrior like most of these Disney princesses have been in this brand. She's being limited by her mother out of love and to respect the family rituals. However, Merida is an individual who desires to have a life of her own. Merida cannot force the kingdom to change their ways as she likes as a whole. But what does she do? She just happens to follow a trail that leads to the next part of her fate. And I'll talk about what her fate is really in the movie later. The concept of the fate in this film is not what Merida thought it would be. See, Merida believed fate was to become her fate was to become a skilled archer. Although that is her passion, that was not something that would help her become a better person and a better princess. The journey towards her fate was actually revolving around her relationship with Queen Elinor. And this is what she was destined to be. She was destined to be a princess, not an archer. Not that slams her character for being a brave, but her position and how she can better that. Once again, this is the big turning point in one of these movies where the protagonist has a goal, but the alternative one that they end up having is even better. You know, like when Lightning McQueen had his eyes on the prize, has his eyes on the piston cup, but he happened to end up in Radiator Springs. But his performance out there on the field, on the track, was better than he had ever imagined. Merida may have wanted to live her own life, but the point was for her to be brave enough to take a relationship in her family and not only fix this curse, but to make it better and more unified. The characters. The character of Princess Merida makes the first mark in two arenas. She is not only the first female Pixar protagonist, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, the first Disney princess to come from Pixar and one of the few foreign Disney princesses. I was about to say she was the first, but she's one of the few. I mean, we've had foreign princesses before, Disney princesses. Merida is the type of Pixar protagonist who is passion-driven like Lightning McQueen rather than purpose-driven like Remy the Rat. Merida's passion for archery is not the big focus of the film, but more so on fate. We see Queen Elinor pound her over the head with these traditional values and principles of being a princess and how to be formal around the other Scotland tribes. How a princess doesn't do so-and-so. A princess doesn't have her weapons on the table. A princess always sits up straight. A princess does not raise her voice. She also tells her the story about fate and where it can lead us based on what decisions we make. Hence the rebellion that Merida expresses towards her mother. This story she tells not only foreshadows the mother's fate as a big black bear, but it shows how Merida would not only be the only person to try to pull a stunt like blazing her own trail and suffering the consequences. And speaking of which, enter Prince Morta. Mordu, not Mordo, Mordu. The Pixar antagonist of Brave, Prince Mordu, serves to be less of a predominant threat here and more like the thread that ties the link of the past, that links the past with the present. The parallel between Mordu, and Merida has so much meaning behind the power of fate. They both sorely want to make their own paths. They break the tradition of their respective kingdoms, and they get mixed in with a curse that involves someone becoming a black bear. Now, keep in mind, I started to notice this last time I watched this, I noticed this today, but throughout the movie, you see statues of bears all over the place. Like whether this is the castle or in the dining room or on the walls, or a bear or the head of a bear on a wall in the castle, or especially you see a whole lot of bears in the witch's cabin when she walks in to find where the wisps were leading her. Like it's a whole bunch of everything that's carved up in there is nothing but bears. That pretty much told us what we were about to get ourselves into. We were about to see somebody become what we had always been seeing throughout the film. Now, for Mordu, he becomes a black bear, but for Merida, it is her mother. Now, the difference between these similarities, these similar situations, is how one can be irreversible through an act of bravery. And that is what I was trying to say, is that the fate is kind of subverted here, because you think that with Merida's passion for archery that her fate would be archery. No, it's not. But the biggest problem in this movie is her relationship with her mother and how she is constantly being rebellious, and the queen is refusing to accept her individuality. But in the end, they have, like she says in her words, they both change. Not only does the mother change back human, but they both have bonded through her time as a bear has taught Merida to love her more and to stick closer to her. And even in the midst of that lesson and going through this journey of fate together, that was both of their fate of their relationship towards each other. But aside from that, the side characters were more for comical relief rather than to support the weight of the plot, like Merida's triplet brothers, Harris, Hamish, and Hubert. Rotten Tomatoes gives Brave a 78% score. How'd they know? Aside from having an exquisite and sometimes dark and fantastical aesthetic, Pixar finally brings a mature message about fate and how important it is, but most importantly, which one you choose to go after. It also has a great developing dynamic between the protagonist and her mother. So for that, I will give Brave 8.4 SOs out of 10. Especially, I just forgot how good Brave was because I've only seen the movie twice. I mean, to me, I didn't think it was one of the more rewatchable Pixar films like Cars, Ratatouille, or Incredibles, but it certainly has a deeper meaning to it than any of the films before it. So that is my review on Brave. Y'all can let me know where this ranks on your Pixar, on all 23 Pixar films for you, whether you like it or not. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for Way Back Wednesday. Good night.